Hey guys, today I want to talk about an interesting little habit that a lot of expats fall into. A guy by the name of the Habitual Nomad was one of the guys that left a comment. And this was on my video, Why Some Expats Stay Away from Other Expats in the Philippines. And it's an interesting little thing that he wrote because I've often thought of this, but I didn't think about it as much until I read this here, and then my mind started working overtime. I'm like, a lot of times we talk about habits, the psychology of expats on this channel sometimes, and coming from a therapeutic mentoring background and stuff, we've talked about narcissists, we've talked about, different problems that people have, some of the bad things that have happened. We've talked about the girl issues and a lot of things like that. But this one here I wanted to read. Remember, this came from my video, Why Some Expats Stay Away from Other Expats in the Philippines. And this guy wrote this here. This is certainly true, especially on YouTube. People are a bit disillusioned in thinking it's just the Philippines, but it's all of Southeast Asian countries. He says, Asian countries where large amounts of expats reside. He says, I also feel like it may just be human behavior to form opinions based on a granule of perceived fact. Because many of us have nothing to do comparative to our Western lives. Silly, petty stuff often gets highlighted. Maybe we are slowly turning into gossiping golden oldies. And I was thinking about this and I was like, that's kind of true, because I've seen people ghost other people here over nothing, over petty stuff that's not even worth fighting with somebody over. I've seen it happen, and I've seen some pretty large stuff. People, like when we were talking about the narcissists and stuff like that, that comes into place too. And you got the flying monkeys and all that. But this one here is really not about that. This is about people that really have kind of nothing to do, and they form their opinions based on that granule of perceived fact. It might be something really small, and it might be a fact, but they take something from that perceived fact. It's a perceived fact, or something that they've seen, and they think, oh, so this here's going on. All right, now I'm putting the piece of the puzzle together, And a lot of us have too much time on our hands sometimes here because we're retired. We don't have a lot to do. Me, I'm really busy, but I see a lot of this around me. I've kind of noted this with some of the expats that have sat around a lot. They sit around all day. They got nothing better to do, and they see something as a perceived fact, but it's really not a fact, and they don't know the rest of the story. Okay, so they'll ghost this person. They'll do something, and I've seen this happen with myself from people. I've seen it happen to other people. I've had people ask me in our group, hey, what happened to so-and-so? He doesn't talk to me anymore. He unfriended me on Facebook or something like that. And I've had that happen in the group. I've had it happen to myself. I've had people just ghost me like that. Suddenly, just boom, you ghosted. You don't know why. The person shows up mad a couple times at your house or something like that. Lets it be known that they're mad at you, and then you're like, where'd this come from? And you're because sometimes, a lot of times, it's people behind the scenes are not giving that person all the information. You thought that they got the information, but they didn't get the information. So they're getting perceived facts on something that's not a fact, and in fact it might not have even happened or whatever. If you understand what I'm saying, what I'm trying to say here is that we have too much time to think about things sometimes because we are sitting around all day. We got nothing better to do, some of us. A lot of expats, when they come over here, they're 24/7. You got all day long to sit and think. And you tend to overthink these things. And usually it's nothing. And like I said, I've had this happen to me before. And then you do have expats over here that they use that time to be deviants, to cause drama or things like that. We get those type of people too. We've talked about that with the narcissist and what goes on with the narcissist. But this here, it was interesting because when I was thinking about it, I was saying to myself, I says, that's actually probably like about 50% more of the issue over here is because of people that overthink things and think that they know everything. I had a gentleman here, and he hung around here quite a lot. And what happened was, I think he overthought, or he saw things and perceived things a certain way when they weren't that way, or he didn't know the whole story. So he took it that, like I was the bad guy because of his perception of what he's seen when he didn't see the rest of the story, and when he shouldn't have been involved in that anyway, because it's my family business. My family business is my family business. You know what I mean? And it should be nobody else's. I've seen this a few times with other people, where people perceive things, or they get too involved with people, and it's in a place where they shouldn't be involved because it's that person's private business or his family business or what have you. And people over here tend to have so much time on their hands that when they're watching all this stuff going on, they're over somebody's house, or they're hanging out with these guys or whatever, and they take in everything that's going on, and they think, oh, I know everything because I sat there and I watched it. I saw it going on. I saw it going down. But they didn't see what happened before that. You know what I mean? And it really is none of their business. So a lot of these people become, like this guy says, turn into gossiping golden oldies, or they say, then they'll ghost you or whatever, and for nothing, over literally nothing sometimes. I've had it happen from a few people because they perceive things to be a certain way, and they're not that way. They're not that way at all. It gets kind of bothersome sometimes. And actually, when I see people like that, once they're actually kind of doing you a favor sometimes. And in this case, I think the people that kind of ghosted us kind of did us a favor in the group, because they were the most problematic people. Either they joined our group and didn't want to be a part of the group, or they joined our group and became kind of problematic, or we've had a lot of people get up and leave and go down south or whatever, down to Dumageddon, because our group tends to be kind of I'll say that we're not partiers, and people wanted more excitement in their lives. So we're kind of like a regular group of people. Yeah, we go out, we hang out, we do our get-togethers once a month, and then we have little break-off groups and stuff like that. And some of us do like to hang out and go have a few drinks or whatever, and that's fine. But we're not really party animals per se. You know what I mean? We're not. Most of the guys in the group are not. I'll say most of them have settled down with a girlfriend or wife or what have you. And for the guys that come over here fresh that don't have a girlfriend, yeah, they still fit into our group. They can, if they're kind of like, they're looking for a girl. They're not looking to go up to Angeli's and just have fun every weekend or whatever, and something like that, where that's not our group. But I see these people come into the group and they just don't fit into the group, and we have all types of people in our group. But most of the people here that come here come from different backgrounds. Like we have the group of expats that come in here. They left because of family issues. They come here because of the U.S. They were disillusioned about the U.S. Their kids don't talk to them anymore. Their family doesn't talk to them for whatever reasons. We're gonna actually get into this friend stuff more too. But anyway, we're gonna have a video coming up pretty soon about friends, which is gonna be pretty cool. And I want to talk about that, about expat friends, and kind of break that down a little bit, which is kind of cool. But we're gonna do a different video for that. But in this here case here is that when we age, our brains tend to change a lot because of the fact that we're relaxing more. We're away from that stress, so we need to find something to do. So what do a lot of guys do? That's what they do, And I've learned to kind of stay away from that. I do talk with my friends about some things that happen around here. That's common. I wouldn't call, gossip. Gossip is when you're trying to wreck somebody's, character or something like that. I wouldn't call it gossip. I would just call it like trying to figure out what happened or what have you, and asking people, hey, do you know what happened, or why this happened or whatever. But a lot of guys do break into gossip, and they do take those perceived facts, that granular perceived fact, and they blow it up into something that it's not. And then other people get in on that, and they say, oh yeah, you're probably right, you know that, I never thought of that, you know, and they don't have all the information. And I tell people, you know, don't get into that. Don't get into that crap. You know what I mean? When, you know, when your friend is a friend, you know, make sure that you have all the facts. Say, hey, listen, you know, this happened to the other day with you. What happened? I just want to confront you because I don't understand why this happened the other day. Maybe approach that person. If he's still not talking to you or whatever, then you know where you stand as a friend. He really wasn't a friend in the beginning anyway. And I look at it as, if in this way. If somebody can't come up to you and talk to you about something, if they ghost you, they walk away from you and they don't talk to you anymore, then they weren't worthy of being your friend in the first place, because they didn't have the guts to come up and talk to you and say, hey, listen, you know, I didn't like the way this went down or the way that went down. They didn't talk to you. They just ghosted you. You know, that's bad, you know. And on perceived facts, most people that ghost people don't have all the perceived facts most of the time. I mean, it's different if you're ghosting a narcissist. I think they call it gray rocking or something like that. I can't remember the term. There's a term for it, where you just kind of leave that person alone, and you should be doing that with narcissists. Okay, people that just ghost you, though, usually, are they narcissists? They could be. It could be part of their problem. It could be that, like, that's their way of trying to control you or something, and maybe they feel that's a control thing. Or maybe they just don't like you. They hate you. They don't want to hang around with you anymore. Maybe, you know, they perceive some things that they saw, character flaws with you or whatever, and everybody has character flaws. Or maybe they saw that you did something, but they didn't know the story behind it, like I said, and that's why they ghosted you, because they perceived you to be an ass, a jerk, or a creep, or whatever, you know. And a lot of times when people get too close to you, and a lot of expats in the Philippines become really close with other expats because they don't have any family here. So by not having family here, you become closer with expats, and you kind of leave yourself open to things that you wouldn't leave yourself open to back home with friends back home. You leave yourself open more because you kind of trust people here. And I've learned not to trust people here. Very few people do I trust here. I trust a few people here. I trust my girlfriend. I trust Justin, you know, the one that does some of the videos on our channel. I trust Rich, who is also the moderator on our channel. There's a few people I trust, you know, and a few others that I trust also. And I have a friend of mine back home who I trust impeccably, Rich, and Dwayne back home. I have some really rock solid friends that I consider my true friends, you know, that I trust. But I learned in the expat community that, you know, there's, like I said, there's like three levels of friendship, and we are going to do a video on that soon. But I mean, on the higher one, those are the ones that you can mostly trust, that people will call you out and say, hey, Steve, I noticed this here. I think you're getting caught in something that you might not regret later on. You know, you might want to be careful about this, hanging around with this person or this person. And or they see something that you don't see. And, you know, I have a friend of mine, Rich, back home in the U.S., and Rich and I kind of talk about stuff, and sometimes he kind of sets me straight. He sees things that I might not see, and sometimes he doesn't see them. You know, he misses a few things or whatever. But we have that friendship where we can talk about it and talk openly about it, and I listen to him because I know he's a true friend. And a lot of people don't have those type of friendships. It's because of either their personality or whatever, and they just don't fit into a crowd. And a lot of the expats that come over here, they usually weren't accepted at home. So over here, they want to be accepted because they figure this is their new life, and they try to fit in, but they still have all that stuff that was scaring people away back home. They didn't leave all that stuff on the tarmac back home. They brought it over here, and they kind of unloaded it here, and it caused a lot of problems over here. Or people see that they have issues and they don't want to get involved with them, you know. And that's kind of common over here. and it's not a huge amount of people, but it's a good amount of the expats over here are kind of like that. And then they got the expats that are coming over here because it's cheaper and stuff like that. But there is part of that, a good chunk of that group that's they're kind of loners. They weren't accepted at home. They're not going to get accepted here for the most part. But the majority of people that come here are good, decent people. But those people kind of stick out in the crowd, and it kind of wrecks it for the people over here. I don't know. Some people say it's 10%. Some people say it's 30%. Some people say it's 50% that have these issues. I think it's in varying degrees, though. I think it could be 50%. I think that each person has their own varying degree of issues. And I'm not saying I'm not without my issues, and and I know I see some of the other guys who are still friends of mine that have issues, but they're acceptable issues. They're things I can live with. They're not causing me any grief. They're not causing anybody else any grief. They're not, that type of thing. But what you want to do to avoid things over here is this. You want to kind of stay away from perceiving things over here, granule of perceived fact. Perceived is the key word. It's not really fact. It's perceived fact. That's different than fact. Okay, and a lot of things, sometimes you have this perception that thing is a piece of fact because you saw something, but you didn't see what caused that, so you don't know the whole thing. So is it really a fact? No, it's a perceived fact. Okay, that's the difference. So you got to be careful of that. And you have to be careful of people that are like that. And you have to be careful also of the gossip thing over here, because the gossip over here is horrendous. I would say that a lot of the people over here, some of them, there's some groups of expats. I would say our group is probably one of the lesser ones for this here. There are some groups down south and up north here where there's a lot of expat gossip. I'm sure it happens in the bar rooms and the groups that they have and stuff like that. We even have the issue sometimes in our group. Sometimes gossip can destroy a group. I've seen it happen up north, with one of the groups that I've talked about that in the past. It can destroy a group here. Don't let gossip destroy you. If you start seeing a group of expats over here that are constantly talking crap about people, and then when they're in front of those people, they're okay, and that is usually what happens around here. That's what you want to get away from. And when I see people in my group that I think could cause a lot of commotion or a lot of grief for the group, or may cause a lot of issues, I let them go. And sometimes it's the people that they hang around with. Sometimes we've had people hang around with people that are pretty unsavory characters, and we've had to just cut people loose because of that, and you try to warn these people, and they go to them even more afterwards. It almost like it pushes them. It kind of shows their character. Watch people's character, who you hang around with here. But I just thought this would be an interesting subject here. It's something that we talk about quite often because it's something that you're going to run into over here a lot. You're going to run into a lot of unsavory characters over here, and sometimes you're going to think they're your friend for 6 months or a year or 3 months or what have you, and then you start seeing their true colors. Be careful, guys. And we're going to do another video probably very soon about friendships in the Philippines and the different type of friendships. And I'm going to break friendships down because there's 3 types of friends in this world. And a lot of people just consider, well, friend's a friend. No, it really is not, because there's different types of friends, and there's 3 types of friends, and you might even be able to break it down even more than that. But I saw this thing on Facebook that a friend of mine posted about it, and it was interesting. We'll break it down from more then, and we'll talk about it then, because it's a really interesting take on friendships. But anyway, guys, God bless. Take care and be careful out there, guys. God bless.